guys, what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. We are here in a special studio within Motor City, of course, Detroit, Michigan, because we have some news that's literally electrifying, and it's all about this vehicle right here. What is it? This is your 2025 Cadillac Escalade IQ. But before we get into this full-size, 3-row electrified SUV, let's talk about what's going on here. The Escalade. When people think of Cadillac, that's one of the first vehicles to come to mind. And what's fascinating, it really hasn't been that long since the Escalade has been in existence. You go back to 1999, that's where we see the birth of this SUV that really did so much for not only Cadillac, but also for General Motors. Now fast forward to model year 2025, of course, the industry is moving towards electrification and Cadillac is following suit. We've already brought you the Cadillac Lyriq, that being that first ever electrified crossover SUV, did the first drive, showed you all of the benefits of not only going with a BEV, but also going with a Cadillac design Lyriq, and then we brought you that very, very special high-end Celestiq. Well, now we're here to bring the next step. And this is what Cadillac has been planning for a few years. Now, of course, in this luxury segment, a lot of the other big brands have jumped into the electrification pool and have been bringing certain vehicles to market. What Cadillac wants to do is they want to keep bringing that mystique of the Escalade, but bring all the benefits of a full BEV. So what I want to find out is if you're looking for an electric luxury full-size SUV, is this new Cadillac Escalade IQ the one to get? Let's go ahead, let's dive in and find out. Right off the bat, the look. When we started the video, you'll notice that illumination that took place at the front end of the business. And that's one of the things that I think a lot of brands are trying to figure out. You know, the big question of how do I know brand X from brand Y when it comes to an electrified vehicle if there's no sound that goes with that particular brand? Well, guess what? Cadillac has found, I think, a secret sauce in creating that personality. And what is it about? It's about all the exterior lighting, especially at the front of the vehicle. When we started the video, it would be like you walking towards your Escalade IQ, you have your key fob in the pocket, and you're gonna be welcomed with that lighting effect. How does it all come into play? Of course, we have LED lighting, that 9 stack, and you noticed at the start, it kind of dropped in one at a time, very similar to what we've seen in the Lyriq. Love the way they did the daytime running lamps. And then what's gonna be great is you're gonna have 2 trims to start off with, eventually a total of 4 at the end of the day, but 2 trims. This one is the Sport. There's gonna be a luxury as well to really help create that personality of what you wanna be driving day in and day out. But definitely the way that they did on this Sport trim, all of that great lighting, and that's one of the challenges. Without having a traditional functional grille, you gotta figure out something to do with the lighting. Unlike some of these other electrified vehicles that sort of look like round jelly beans and marshmallows, Cadillac is bringing that style that we are familiar with their ICE engines to the BEVs, but definitely the way they have the lighting, the style. Another thing we have to remember is coefficient of drag. So when you have an EV, I know a lot of times we like to think, oh, we'll just get a bigger motor. That doesn't necessarily solve the problem. Sometimes that creates more problems. So with the Escalade IQ being a full-size SUV, they really worked hard to not only make it look like a Cadillac and look like an Escalade, but also have that low coefficient of drag to be super slippery through the wind. Now, dropping your way down, you'll notice on our Sport trim, you're gonna have some nice dark chrome finish. You have some gloss black, and that's gonna be another separator. I'll show you around the vehicle how some of the finishes between the Sport and the luxury are gonna separate the personalities of the 2 vehicles. Now, as we come across that iconic badge, going back to the early 1900s, it's crazy because once a time we thought about coupe de villes and everything. Now we're looking at electrification. And like I said, this being their 3rd electrified vehicle and having that Escalade name, this is really a crucial vehicle and a crucial time for Cadillac in the auto industry. But very specific how they do the design on that front panel. And remember, we're gonna have the functionality of an e-trunk, which I'll be able to show you on this Escalade IQ. working our way down, forward-facing camera. Love the way that they sculpted this lower portion, because instead of it just being all round, you can see how it extends out. We do have some functionality on that bottom portion, and I think the other thing that really is separating this apart from some of the other electrified SUVs is this area right here. Really the way they bring that color with that nice metallic flare finish to it really looks spectacular under these showroom lights. I can't wait to see it outside. Now, when you look at the hood, you have a nice bulge. Nice to see that they brought that design over from your traditional ICE Escalade, but you could also see how it waterfalls nicely, and that's what's going to help make this as slippery as possible, because at the end of the day, here's the number. I'm not even going to wait to give it to you. We're looking at real world range of 450 miles out of this Escalade IQ. That's some pretty big numbers, and I think a number that a lot of people have been wanting to hear. Now, as we come around the bend, we're talking about big numbers. Get ready for this one. We got 24-inch wheels, the largest ever on any Escalade, especially on this Escalade IQ. What I love about it is that when you go sport, this is the specific wheel that you get. When you go luxury, it's going to be a little bit different style. But the great news is not only does it look good, we also have full functionality of helping to cut down on that drag and make this super slippery like a hot knife through butter, at least as much as we can with this size vehicle. Now, of course, one thing that Cadillac really wanted to work on is bring some important standard features. And one of the things that I like about this Escalade IQ, standard four-wheel steering. Think about that. You're gonna shave feet off your turning radius, and we all know some of those parking lots that you go into can be very, very treacherous, very tight, and with this vehicle, you're gonna look like a champ being able to rotate it any which way you need to get in and out of those parking spots. You'll notice that we have those Michelin primacy tires, 275 on the width, 50 series sidewall. These tires also important for helping range. It's not gonna be just your standard tire. Cadillac worked with Michelin to develop these tires to help get that range to that real world 450 miles. What about motors? Two of them, one electric motor up front, one electric motor out back. Of course, that's gonna give you standard all-wheel drive. So you're gonna have that confidence and that security with the all-wheel drive, but also with the four-wheel steer. One of my favorite things that I think that they did very well is gonna be the fender opening. Something so simple, but yet you could get it wrong very easily. Love the way everything is body colored all the way around, even the way that they designed the reflector on the side to really just flow clean into the body. Of course, we're gonna have our side marker lights on the sport trim. This is another area where you get that darker finish. Go luxury, you're gonna get more of a chrome finish, but very, very tasteful. And it's nice to not just stick something on there that's not functional. You have some very exquisite lighting to give it that identity. And then of course the Cadillac badge, such an iconic badge over the generations. Now when it comes to overall shape and everything, you look at your side mirrors, good size. We're gonna have 360-degree cameras, of course. And then one thing you'll notice on this Escalade IQ is the option of a two-tone paint job setup. So on our Sport, we have the black up top, and then you have the rest in that beautiful flare silver color, which we'll get more into details on what this color is and how it changes hues. It's sometimes silver, sometimes gold. Really, really working well, but I like the way they gave us the option, gave you the option of having the two-tone. You'll notice that dark chrome finish and the way that it kind of hockey sticks right into that rear quarter window. One of the things so important is gonna be, obviously from the side of the vehicle, is not making it look so large. And I think with the two-tone, it does a really good job with that. You'll notice our stationary running boards, and of course in the belly of this Escalade IQ, we're gonna have that Ultium battery, 24 modules. That's gonna help us get to that range. Like I said, real world range, 450 miles, nice touches, lighting on the door handles. You have, of course, just like up front, that nice flared fender style. And the way that they work the quarter window, something that on SUVs, sometimes people forget, they just put like a rectangle or a trapezoid. Love this triangular style, and especially just like up front, how they took the color and brought it sharp into that roof line. And then of course, swinging around back, this is where it all comes together. Very, very nicely done how we finish it off. So you're gonna have a stubby roof spoiler, but the great news is no exposed wiper. That cleans up the whole back of this Escalade IQ. You can see our third brake light. Here's a little fun fact or a little quiz for you. When did they come out and make it official that you had to have a third brake light? 1986. So that third brake lights have been around since 1986 on that rear liftback area, just like up front. And this has a piano key style setup. So you got that piano key style, full LED lighting. Cadillac has done their lighting so well over the years, and they just continue it with this Escalade IQ, even the way they did the badge. Look at the IQ there. Of course, we have our Cadillac badge in the center. That's gonna open up the rear lift gate. You have your 1000 E4. We'll talk more about that when we pop the E-trunk, because we got some pretty big power underneath this vehicle with the 2 electric motors. And then dropping it like it's hot, same thing. You got to keep it clean. And also we talk about usability. One thing that some people are going to ask me, Joe, can I tow with this? Yes, you can. How much can you tow? A total of 8,000 pounds. But why don't we go ahead, let's go ahead and pop that E-trunk and see how usable it's going to be. All right, guys, we have that E-trunk popped. It's very unique how they have it set up on the Escalade IQ. And this was something that, guess what? They talked to their customers and potential customers, and they wanted an area where there was some real security to put those things that maybe are a little bit more valuable. So pop in the E-trunk, obviously gonna be power assist. You're gonna be greeted to a very generous amount of room. So how much space are we looking at? We're looking at 12 cubic feet of space. Now here's the great news. It's totally weatherproof. So you put something in there, it's gonna be safe from the elements. You're also gonna notice it's gonna be totally out of sight. A little bit different than putting it in the cargo area where maybe there's somebody peeping in your windows, and if you have something at the mall, that may give them an invitation to want to come into your Escalade IQ. This is going to be totally locked down. Now on the passenger side, you'll notice a panel there. That cover will flip up. You're going to have your obviously charging accessories to be able to charge different things in those outlets. And then you are going to have interior lighting of that compartment, because remember, this is a pre-production and some of the things are going to continue to flow in what we see in that final production vehicle. Now let's talk about the motors. You have the 2 electric motors. That's going to give you 750 horsepower, 785 pound-feet of torque. And if you are late getting the kids to school, this is going to get them on time, 0 to 60 in less than 5 seconds. And then of course, at the end of the day, we have to talk about charging. So if you use one of those 800 volt fast chargers, those DC fast chargers, we're talking about 100 miles in 10 minutes. Now add that in with the range. So that real world range, you go on that family road trip, you're stopping at a restaurant, they wind up having some fast chargers there, some DC fast chargers, you could go in, get the food, get everybody full and happy, and then you're ready to hop back in and continue your journey. But why don't we go ahead? I know the exterior was exciting. I know, obviously, talking about 0 to 60 in less than 5 seconds is pretty exciting. Let's get to the interior, because I feel Cadillac has some surprises for us. Let's go check it out. All right, guys, time to get inside this Cadillac Escalade IQ and see what they have in store for us and what the future holds, not only for this vehicle, but really for Cadillac as a whole. Now, when it comes to this vehicle, remember, just like when we got behind the wheel of the Lyriq, it brought a lot of nice finishes, a lot of nice touches, and the best part is it drove like a Cadillac. So I'm excited to get behind the wheel eventually of one of these and bring that experience to you. Now, I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I think I'm gonna hold off. I think I'm gonna postpone my next luxury SUV purchase because I'm really pumped about this one. How much is it though? Well, here's the good news. Starting MSRP is going to be right around $150,000. And if you want to have certain options on top of that, you will have that availability. Now, when will these actually become available? You're looking at summer of next year. And these are going to be built at factory zero. So that's another nice thing when we're talking about BEVs and we're talking about sustainability and everything else. That's where they're going to be produced. But let's see what Cadillac's bringing on this Escalade IQ to the door panels. What I am loving is all of those touches. Now, you're going to notice with the seats, you do have full power assist. 3-way memory settings, and their full ventilated, heated, and massage seats. You'll notice the two-tone material, all of the stitching, everything has been brought up to another level. We have that backlit LED lighting in that wood trim. That was something that Cadillac was bringing new with the Lyriq. And then they worked with AKG. And you'll notice the very slick, seductive speaker grille covers and how they flow super cleanly into that center armrest area. And then of course on the lower side, you have that massive door pocket, large enough for any of the things that you want to bring on the road trip. Now, coming on in, we mentioned speakers, we mentioned AKG. You're looking at 40 speakers in this vehicle. That's more than any of the Cadillac Escalades before it, that's for sure. And then what you're also going to be greeted to is 55 inches of screen. So the passenger's going to have 20 inches of screen space for them to utilize just for themselves. Now the great news is it's been polarized, so if you're wondering, well Joe, am I gonna get distracted? If my daughter's driving the Escalade IQ, is she gonna be distracted? No, it's polarized, so they're not gonna be able to see what the other person is doing on that screen. And I really like the way they thought about that safety feature. You'll see the very tasteful trim, and then that brings you into the other portion of the screen size. You have 35 inches of display for the driver, and of course also for the passenger up front. Very clear resolution, and I like the graphics that they're using. Very, very modern without being too over the top. This is where you'll have your full touchscreen capability. Of course, we have our full digital gauge display, which I'll show you that a little bit closer in a few moments. And then I also like the separate screen setup. So it's a very clean setup in here, not a lot of buttons, but I think the way that they laid everything out, the way they separated what each function of the screens is bringing. So this lower screen area, that's gonna help with operation of your AC controls. Also, you have an option when we look at the Sport 2 or the Luxury 2, which are gonna be higher option trims, you'll actually have the ability of power closing and opening doors. And I'll talk more of that when we get to the driver's side. We have our direct drive control knob, nice finish all the way around with the Cadillac logo there, 2 cup holders, and then you'll notice, like I said, all of the tasteful materials. Now the biggest thing that I want to point out is because this is a BEV, battery electric vehicle, and we have that Ultium battery pack in the bottom of this, you'll notice how it gives us more space to utilize. And this is just another area for you to be able to store things like a purse, a merce, a bag, a sack, a satchel. Plus Cadillac was able to bring even more fine elements. And then as Lori shows you the seats, this is something that looks like what you're gonna find in some type of place where you're gonna be able to be massaged, because we have the full massage seats, obviously, like I said, heated and ventilated, and you'll notice the same great design and the quality of the materials is what's gonna elevate this vehicle. And then up top, we have the largest panoramic glass roof. And what's great about it is that even if you're sitting in the third row, you're gonna be able to get that open air experience, and it goes from pillar to pillar. Alcantara microfiber suede material, the AKG speakers, all of it combined. But why don't you come over to the business end? I wanna show you behind the wheel of this Cadillac Escalade. All right guys, time to get to the business end and show you where you're gonna be sitting in this Escalade IQ. I think my phone's ringing. Hello? Oh, yeah, no, we're still here. We're still filming. Okay. Oh, I did? Oh, okay, yeah, no, we're still going, so I can fix it right now. All right, thanks, Mike. All right, see you. So just got a phone call. I'm glad I'm still filming. Starting MSRP is $130,000. So that's even better news. That's one of those phone calls you want to get on a regular basis. But let me now show you what's on the business end when you get behind the wheel of the Escalade IQ. Come on in and you'll see you're going to be greeted to a aluminum sill plate with the Escalade name on that bottom portion. Nice large pedal box, and that flat floor really opens up things for the driver and passenger side. When we rise up and you look at the steering wheel, very classy style to it. The leather, the silver trim. Of course, you'll notice you're gonna get Super Cruise, and the way that they have all of the switch gear nicely flanking that center horn button with the Cadillac badge. And then lurking behind that steering wheel is that 55 inches of screen starting from one side to the other. The way it works is you got 35 inches and then 20 for the passenger on the other side. But that's going to give you all the vital information so that you don't have to take your eyes off the road to see what the heck is going on with your trip or your daily commute. And then just like on the passenger side, the seats, very, very nice materials, but also a good size on the seat cushions. Because the switch gear for the seat controls are on the door panels, that allows a larger seat to be in place. That means it's going to give you more support, it's going to give you more surface area so that you could be comfortable, especially with the 450-mile range with this Escalade IQ. But why don't we go ahead, let's get into the back seat and see what your passengers are going to experience with this new Cadillac. Guys, time to see the mid-row, because remember, this is a 3-row full-size SUV. And one thing I want to point out is that this has what is going to be called the executive package. Now, the great news about the executive package, everything going on with the seats up front, the mid-row passengers get. So you're going to get those captain's chairs, but they're fully heated, ventilated, and massage seats. You'll notice the massive entertainment screens, obviously, to where you could have that entertainment for the people riding in the mid-row to keep them occupied. You're going to have down below the USB-Cs, the HDMI, and the power source. Plus, you'll notice that bridge center console area. This is where, like I said, being a BEV with the flat floor, we do have storage up front, but we have more storage down below for the rear seat passengers. And you have that full touchscreen, just like the people up front that get to operate the AC controls and everything in between, plus all that great LED lighting. And the way that they styled the lighting to flow nicely with the speaker grille covers, very, very nice touch. And like I said, over 40 speakers in this vehicle. Another thing that isn't being shown with this particular model is that you're actually going to have also serving trays, sort of like being on a plane, serving trays stored underneath that center armrest to really just bring extra comfort and usability of the mid-row. And then we're going to find out when we get a little bit closer with this vehicle about how much room for those full-size passengers sitting in the third row. But why don't we go ahead, let's take a look at the cargo area and see what the Escalade IQ is bringing. All right, guys, we got the rear lift back open. Obviously, power release on that. You're going to notice that with that third row up, you can see how much space we have cargo-wise, and that's one of the things, like I said, with this being a BEV, it really changes the dimensions of the vehicle, especially when you look at the side. We have a long wheelbase that cuts down on overhang, both at the front of the vehicle and the rear of the vehicle, but that also opens up more space. Not only more space for your passengers, but more space for your stuff. Now, you'll notice that those seats will be power folding 60-40 split, and all the switch gear is on the driver's side, and on the passenger side, you'll notice that power source back there. Obviously, if you're going to the beach and the kids want that big, huge raft blown up, you get to save your lungs, get yourself an electric air compressor, and you could do it right at the back of your Escalade IQ. But even the touches, just like on the door sills, you're gonna have that along the rear cargo area as well with the Escalade IQ name. Now, I know you're chomping at the bit to see more of this vehicle. Trust me, I want to bring you more, especially the first drive, and we're going to get there, but obviously, we need to get on a plane and get home and wrap it up from Motor City, so let's get to it. All right, guys, like I said, this is an electrifying experience being here in Motor City with the Cadillac Escalade IQ. Of course, looking at the vehicle, talking about it being a BEV, and thinking about the materials on the interior, it's all about sustainability, and this Escalade is a leather-free interior vehicle, this Escalade IQ. So that really shows the direction that Cadillac is going in with not only having it be a BEV, but also that whole sustainability piece of the puzzle when it comes to transportation as we move forward. But let me know what you think. Has Cadillac checked off the right boxes for you to bring something that definitely is saying, hey, I am Cadillac, I am an Escalade with this Escalade IQ? Are you liking it more than what you're seeing from other brands so far? Let us know down in the comment section. I know the people at Cadillac are gonna wanna read those comments. But of course, if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raiti's Rides family. Of course, none of this wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for Lori working that camera like a champ. Show us some love in the comment section. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.